How's it, guys, and welcome to the Diverge Podcast. In this week's episode, we'll be looking back on the opening round of the UCI Mountain Bike World Series in Araxá, Brazil, and then, of course, looking ahead at this weekend's racing. Double header, 2 weekends in a row out in Brazil. Pretty unique for the Mountain Bike World Cup to do that, or World Series as it is now to do that. So going to be another, and after last weekend's racing, which was incredibly tight and exciting, it's going to be cool to see the men and women go out there and take that course on again and go even faster in what looks to be better weather as well. So that's very cool. And then in part 2, we'll look back at the South African Gravel Champs, which actually turned out to be a muddier affair than the racing in Brazil, despite the rain in Brazil leading up to last weekend's racing. Karkloof really delivered with also a very challenging course, worthy winners, but very, very muddy, peanut butter mud conditions out there in KZN. So yeah, let's dive right into the Mountain Bike World Cup. And the standout feature, of course, there was the performances of Candice Lill, Tyler Jacobs, and Luke Moir. All three of them really put in great rides. Candice started out in the short track on Saturday afternoon with a great ride to secure herself a front row start for the cross country on Sunday. The short track, probably fair to say, not Candice's strongest suit, maybe better suited to the hour and a half effort of cross country than she is, or the Olympic distance cross country, than she is to the 20 minutes of XCC racing. But still, 7th place there, and really put on a very, very strong showing. Set herself up well for the Sunday's main event. We also saw the comeback of Evie. It's cool to see. It's cool to see how excited she was, how surprised she was with her performance, and absolutely blown away. And then Samara Maxwell, kind of seems like you'd have to be called Samara to race for New Zealand on the mountain bike. Samara Maxwell finishing second, I think, on at the XCC. Then on Sunday, Maxwell stormed to victory out of that group that had Lill in it. Candice was up at the front, mixing it up all race until the last lap, when Maxwell attacked, or going into the last lap when Maxwell attacked, and then Maxwell went all in. Set a pretty quick time for that last lap still, despite the fatigue setting in. But Nicole Collar, who'd been just off the back of Candice's group, rode through Candice's group, and on the last lap, I think was the fastest time of the race, actually, at 10:04 for Collar on that final lap, which was a stellar, absolutely stellar ride from her. And also another thing, it was very great to see someone who's raced a lot in South Africa over the years, a super nice person as well, just like a really down to earth athlete, and good to see her get a result that has been a long time coming too. So Maxwell took the win. Nicole Collar for Ghost Factory Racing was second, and then Candice was fifth. Of course, unlike in the men's race where Nino Schurter and Lars Foster invited themselves onto the podium, Candice didn't just step up there. Also didn't incur a 800 Swiss franc fine, which is quite a slap on the wrist for that move by Nino and Lars. But yeah, I think that's going to be something that rumbles on in the background for the whole World Series season. Is that move from a 5-person podium down to a 3-person podium? Doesn't really make that much of a difference from a time perspective on a broadcasting thing. It's kind of, I think their Discovery's rationale behind it is just to bring it in line with everything else. But it's kind of a pointless bringing it in line, especially when most of your broadcast is via your own feed that you control. Like, what is the extra 30 seconds of 5 people on the podium? And then have to cut away from the men's podium because now suddenly two other people are on it, and cut hastily to results is a bit of a sham, really. But away from the controversy, to the men's race, and the racing there was also fantastically tight, as it has been in the women's race. Luke Moir really went well in the XCC, placed 17th in the end, but they were all very, very close. That front group, he was sort of in the front group for most of that race. The specialized factory racing guys, Chris Blevins and Victor Koretzky, diced it out for victory. Actually had a little coming together on the last lap as well, just before the final corner, and Blevins managed to take the win over his teammate, and then that kind of set them up for Sunday's cross country as well, where they had a reversal of that. Koretzky and Blevins getting away, a big chase group forming. Nino Schurter had a puncture on lap one, dropped all the way through the field, rode his way back into contention, eventually rejoined that group. Moir was in and around that group as well, that was contesting for second place, and just sort of faded a little bit. But it is, of course, his first outing in the elite field in the cross country. So, a really great performance there to ride to 19th place overall. I think it was a minute 15 down at the end, which, considering that Koretzky was like almost 55 was 55 seconds ahead of third. So Moir was just 20 odd seconds behind third place, and less than that behind Schurter and Lars Foster, who were in fifth and fourth respectively. So very, very close, very, very tightly fought battle there for Luke, and augurs very well for this weekend's racing. Of course, there at the front, Koretzky won the cross country over Blevins, cracked Blevins on the last lap, got away, managed to win pretty comfortably. Blevins took second, and then I'm gonna butcher the Chilean's name for specialized factory racing. It is Martin Vidaurre. Took third. He was kind of just sat in that group, did a little bit of blocking, a little bit of disrupting, and then managed to hold off Schurter and Lars Foster in a sprint to take third. So first 1, 2, 3 for any factory team at a World Cup in I don't know how many years, many years. So stellar result there for Specialized, and I think a lot of teams will be looking to overturn that this weekend. So expect more fierce racing in the men's race this weekend. In the women's under 23, Tyler Jacobs had a fantastic weekend and a very consistent weekend as well. 6th in the XCC, 6th in the cross country, and just going from strength to strength and in a real growth phase of her career now. She, of course, has joined Live Factory Racing in the off-season, and managed to get a little word from Tyler after the race, and looking ahead at this weekend, and also just talking about what it's been like joining the factory team.
Super happy with how the first World Cup weekend of the year went, and being with Liv and having their support has been absolutely next level and game-changing. And everyone in the team is amazing. All super cool people. We laugh every single day, all the time. But then when it comes to being professional, everyone's able to put on their work pants and get to work, but also keep it fun at the same time. It's been great to feel like there's not a huge amount of pressure on my shoulders, and also having another under 23 on the team kind of feels like we in it together when we go racing, almost like having a teammate, which is awesome. And also kind of makes it more fun than stressful. Obviously, I had the support from Candice and Darren last year, which was also incredible. But yeah, not having to worry about having dinner ready. We have someone that sorts that for us, and yeah, getting a massage and being shown around the course. Knowing that my bike will be completely ready for me, and also just knowing that everything behind the scenes is running smoothly. That all makes a huge difference. My race did go pretty much how I hoped it would go. And for next week, there's a few little improvements on how I executed my race plan that I can improve on. So yeah, just gonna try make sure that I'm riding the course as fast and efficiently as possible.
Going into this weekend then, the racing starts on Friday with the XCC. South African time, 16:15, the under-23 women race. You can watch that on the Whoop UCI Mountain Bike World Series' YouTube channel. 16:55, the men's under-23, also on YouTube. And then at 1800, the elite women go on SuperSport, the Overflow channel, channel 199. Again, so lots of corpo around this weekend and figuring out when and where to watch, especially on SuperSport. The men then 40 minutes later at 20 to 7, also on SuperSport 199. So you can watch Candice at 6 o'clock on Friday evening, Luke Moir at 40 minutes past 6 on Friday evening. And if you want to watch Tyler, she'll be racing at 4:15 on Friday afternoon. Weather-wise, there will be some rain on Friday, but it's going to rain late afternoon Brazilian time. The elite men might catch the beginnings of the rain, but it should be dry for the women's race and then dry again on Saturday. Humidity will be a factor on Friday. Saturday it's a little bit lower, only 61% humidity out in Araxá on Saturday, and a high of 28 degrees. So pretty much perfect racing conditions then. Be interesting to see as well how the track holds up. I think the rain that they've had during the week, even though there's been high volume, high use across the track, looks like the track held up really well over the course of the weekend. Last weekend, obviously with more training, more racing. This weekend to come, that might start to get a bit more rutted, a little bit more technical, especially through those rock gardens and at the bottom of those drops where they drop in off that Red Bull drop into quite a techie landing area. They land in smooth, hard-packed soil, but you can imagine that's going to start to get rutted out. And then they got to navigate a little rocky feature there, and that could become increasingly tricky as the weekend goes on, especially if it then becomes dusty, dried, and blown out and dusty. Saturday, the 12th of April, is when the cross-country takes place. 1400 on YouTube. You can watch Tyler Jacobs race. And then 15:45, the under-23 men, also on YouTube. The women's racing will be on SuperSport 10 at 17:45. Watch Candice Lill then. And then Luke Moir will close out the weekend and the first round of the World Series at 19:45 South African time, also on SuperSport 10. Currently, SuperSport's schedule, their online schedule, is for an hour later. I have double and triple checked my maths, and I'm pretty sure that they are wrong. So hopefully they prove to be wrong and not me. But yeah, we will see. I will definitely be gloating about it if they have got it wrong on their preliminary schedule, and they do have to make a hasty adjustment to that. Hopefully they can make a hasty adjustment, and it's not just me that is wrong. Then part two, the South African gravel champs. As I said in the intro, it was pretty muddy and pretty wild out there in Karkloof, KZN, for the SA Gravel Champs. But Marco Joubert has carried on that great form. Actually, so has Tristan Orkea, carried on the great form from the Cape Epic. And the two of them were pretty dominant in the men's race before Marco managed to get away on the penultimate climb, I believe, and race to victory. So he will be wearing the South African National Champions jersey in whatever gravel races they do. I think Mbuko Kempchamp probably will diversify a bit more this season, probably will race a bit more gravel than they have done in the past. There is obviously just more gravel racing around. They've yet to confirm if they're going to be doing gravel burn, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them there. And it's going to be interesting to see, even though it's a solo race, how the team dynamics then start to play out in gravel burn as well, because obviously they will. So Marco Joubert took the men's race. Women's race, Hayley Preen diced it out with Samantha Sanders for the first half of their 106 kilometer race. The men did 160 kilometers, women 106. And Hayley also, once again, much like Marco, proving that she's in fantastic form post the Cape Epic. She goes over to the States to race Lifetime Grand Prix after this. So very cool to see her take the national champions jersey and to then go and represent South Africa on the biggest gravel stage in the States, in the South African champions jersey. And I was very privileged to be able to get hold of Kevin Benkenstein and to get a race report out of Benke from the event that he organized.
Yesterday we had the SA Gravel Champs here in the Karkloof. 160k route for the men and 100k's for the women's. Both really good hard races, and huge compliments from me to the riders for really making it exciting to follow, and also just for taking on the course and making it a hard day out rather than sitting and waiting for the end and just sprinting. So in the men's race, it's started off nice and hard. At the end of the first lap, there were about 9 riders together. That's 50k's in. End of the second lap, that was down to just 6, which was made up of Marco Joubert and Tristan Orkea of Mbuko, and then the Honeycomb guys, which was Mark Pritson, Jaco van Dijk, and Faisal Botha. And then Travis Steadman was in there still for the Toyota Specialized team. Heading into the third lap, it started breaking up slowly, and then about 120k's into the race, Marco and Tristan broke away from Mark and Jaco van Dijk, and then and Travis Steadman, who then had a bit of a race for third. Coming up the last climb, which was about 10k's to go, 12k's to go, Marco got away from Tristan and slowed in for the win by about 90 seconds. So yeah, awesome effort from him. So that was about 5 hours for 156k's with 2,500 odd meters of climbing. So big day out, really impressive effort from him. And then Jaco van Dijk managed to first get rid of he actually rode through the break, through to the break from 5th place. He managed to catch and then drop Travis Steadman, and then caught Mark Pritson, who was having a little bit of an issue with his seat post dropping. But yeah, he got back to 3rd place. So yeah, really awesome ride from him. And then Mark Pritson took 4th from Travis Steadman, who was in 5th. So incredible ride from all of them. And then the women's race, it was also, they really took it on from the beginning, and 20k's in had got it down to a smaller group of 2, which was Hayley Preen and Sam Sanders. And they were being chased by Cherise Willett, and Sarah Hill, and followed a little bit further back by Kath Kalin. Hayley and Sam pushed and attacked and did all the right things, but couldn't really open a gap on each other for any meaningful amount of time. And it came down to a sprint in the last 500 meters, and Hayley managed to get a little gap on Sam Sanders, so came in for the win. And then Charisse Willett had managed to drop Sarah Hill about 70 k's in and held that gap really maybe a minute, and just kept that gap big enough to take the final podium spot. So great ride from her, and also from Sarah Hill, who had a rough Cape Epic but seems to have recovered nicely and back into a better space. So really, really impressive effort from her, with Kath Cullen in fifth. So yeah, awesome day out. All the age group guys, and really even the people not racing had a good time. It was challenging conditions, but when you're racing off-road, sometimes unfortunately it does rain, and that creates some difficult conditions, but everyone embraced it and had a load of fun, and it was incredible being on the finish line and just watching everyone come in and hear their comments and hear their stories. And yeah, special day out. So really well done to everyone. Well done to all the winners of the various categories. You've certainly earned your result, and you can be very, very proud of it. And yeah, great day out. So look forward to doing it again next year.
And that is it for this week's show. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Diverge podcast. Until next time, remember you can read all the news and reviews and find out more about the events that are covered here in the show and that we don't get time to get to on diverge.info. Until next time, cheers.